12. The book of Numbers chapter 12. Let's rush there in a very short while. It's the story of Moses. Moses was a friend of God. Now Moses and God were speaking face to face, and he would tell Moses things that, to others he would only reveal through dreams and visions. But to Moses, he was talking to him word to word, without riddles, just very clearly, giving him instructions. And Moses would hear God very, very clearly. I'm opening Numbers chapter 12. I want us to go through it very fast so that you understand what happened to Miriam and Aaron, his siblings. Okay, so Moses had married an Ethiopian woman, a Cushite, okay? And so Miriam and Aaron were against him marrying her. And so they started speaking ill against Moses. Sawa sawa, kamdomo tu. And Miriam and Aaron began to talk against Moses because of his Cushite wife, for he had married a Cushite. Verse 2, has the Lord spoken only through Moses? They asked. Hasn't he also spoken through us? And the Lord heard this. Okay, God hears dishonor. Sawa sawa. Verse 3 says, now Moses was a very humble man, more humble than anyone else on the face of the earth. Where? Verse 4, at once the Lord said to Moses, Aaron and Miriam, wote watatu, come to the tent of meeting, all three of you. So the three of them went out. Then the Lord came down in a pillar of cloud. He stood at the entrance of the tent and summoned Aaron and Miriam. Now, kindly understand that in this tent, it's only the priest who was allowed to go in and, pray for them or offer sacrifices for the people outside. He would only get in, we shall get into that topic someday, but he would only get in to get to where the Ark of the Covenant was, or to get to the presence of the Lord. Now this day, the Lord told the three of them he would meet them at the door. Wasingie atawapata hapo nje. And so verse 5 tells us, then the Lord came down in a pillar of cloud. He stood at the entrance of the tent and summoned Aaron and Miriam. When the two of them stepped forward, he said, listen to my words. Okay, now this is an angry God talking. Why? Because these two had dishonored his servant Moses. Sawa? They were siblings, okay? Walikuwa shazoeana, okay? But how much of a friend was Moses to God? So listen to my words. When there is a prophet among you, I, the Lord, reveal myself to them in visions. I speak to them in dreams. But this is not true of my servant Moses. He is faithful in all my house. With him I speak face to face, clearly and not in riddles. He sees the form of the Lord. Why then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? Why weren't you afraid? Like, what? What? I don't understand these people. So the anger of the Lord in verse 9 burned against them, and he left them. When the cloud lifted from above the tent, Miriam's skin was leprous. It was as white, we are told it became as white as snow. Aaron aliona what happened to Miriam. He turned to Moses and he told him, please, my Lord, I ask you do not hold against us the sin we have so foolishly committed. Do not let her be like a stillborn infant coming from its mother's womb with its flesh half eaten away. And if it were most of us, during that time, being in Moses' position, you would think, wacha waone hivyo. Wacha waone hivyo. Si walikuwa they were speaking against my wife, against me. Wacha waone hivyo. But Moses, being Moses, cried out to the Lord, please, God, heal her. You see, he was just being all nice and, he prayed for her to get healed. Would you have prayed for her? Even after they spoke against you, after they were so much against you, would you still pray for her healing? And in verse 14, the Lord replied to Moses. He said, if her father had spit in her face, would she not have been in disgrace for 7 days? Confine her outside the camp for 7 days. After that, she can be brought back. Sawa sawa. So Miriam was confined outside the camp for 7 days, and the people did not move on. They were still on the journey, sawa sawa, till she was brought back. So after that, the people left Hazeroth and encamped in the desert of Paran. Now, one thing that I think made God so angry was the fact that Moses had led these people all the way from Egypt. They were now in the wilderness. They had stayed there for years and years. And the Lord made sure that through the leadership of Moses, these people never lacked a thing. Even their clothes never wore out. You know, they would still grow up, they would still grow big, and the clothes would adjust. Their shoes would adjust. Everything about them was adjusting to make sure that their needs they had were all taken care of. Yet, the people that were closest to Moses dishonored him.